Thank you, Dan, for coming in today and taking the time to participate in this individual trustee forum.
I appreciate the opportunity.
The first question I have for you is, can you share your personal experience with Catholic education and how it shapes your approach as a trustee?
Sure. All glory be to Jesus Christ. I grew up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and my father worked at the university as a professor of philosophy at the only Catholic college affiliated with the University of Saskatchewan. So that was always an influence. And I went to Catholic school until grade 12. And then shortly after leaving grade 12, I knew what the Catholic faith was. And so I felt, able to judge it, and I moved away from it. So I think that my Catholic education was inadequate. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for the pressures and the influences of the world to safeguard me against them. Just reviewing the question. So I came from a highly educated, very Catholic, very devout family, got a good education, was one of the top graduates at a Catholic high school, and I was ready to leave the faith. I think things have gotten worse since then, not better, in terms of the world putting pressure and being able to effectively deliver their message. And their message is, there's lots of different attacks on the faith. So I think that there's an urgency to making sure the schools are doing a better job in transmitting the faith. Otherwise, it's very hard to stay Catholic. And I think that my own understanding of the evidence of science, for example, is that we know so much more now about why we should believe in God. You know, the evidence from science is so much weaker than people imagine it to be. But in the public mindset, I just heard someone say 2/3 of people believe scientists have created life. and that's just, they haven't even created a cell. So, but there's an urgency to making sure that kids are well informed so they go, wow, our faith is beautiful, it's true, and there's so much evidence for it.
How do you see your role in protecting and promoting the Catholic identity of our schools while serving a diverse community?
Well, protecting our identity assumes we really have a solid identity. And I think we need to establish a solid identity. Right now, I think there's a rift in Catholic Church that we don't want to talk about, but we should. I won't say half. There's a large group of people who see Catholicism as a cultural identity. I can be a cultural Catholic. Jewish people can be Jewish and yet not believe in God. That's established. And now Catholic people can be Catholic but not really believe anything that Catholics have traditionally believed. So I think we need to reestablish the idea that Catholics, it's not a cultural thing. You're not born into it. It's not a club. There's no membership. Jesus told us, your parents' virtues won't save you. Your children's sins won't hurt you. When you go to heaven and when you are judged, you'll be judged on your faith and your actions. And so people need to understand that even being a Catholic, having the name Catholic, that's no guarantee of salvation. It's up to us to know and to follow the commandments of Christ and be a witness to him. So we need to really reinvigorate that understanding that is the identity. If we're not part of the mystical body of Christ on earth, we're not Catholic. And to be a part of the mystical body on earth, it's not up to us to decide if we're in or out. It's really up to the church and Jesus who tells us what we need to do. So we really need to revive that understanding. But even more importantly, we need people to witness to the Catholic faith in their lives. Kids need to meet people who, wow, they're alive, they're great people, and they really believe. They believe in their words and in their deeds. They're good people. And when you meet meet those kind of people, then children will also want to share that faith. Someone who's alive with that. So it's that personal connection to Christ and the church and the sacraments. That's the most important thing. And I think trustees have to be faith leaders. We all have to be faith leaders. We're all supposed to be witnesses to Christ, but we have a special role. We're the only elected politicians in Canada who are elected as Catholics. And so I don't think we can be shy about that. I think we need to go to the schools. People need to know who we are, and they need to know what we believe.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing students and families in Catholic schools today, and how would you address them?
Well, ignorance of the faith is, I think, the biggest challenge. People think like I did. They think they know what the faith teaches, and so they're comfortable to reject it. So, the idea that the church has always taught that Jesus founded us, and then he gave us authority, not over everything, but over spiritual matters to make decisions. And the church has been very, very judicious and careful over the years, prudent about not making declarations about what is always and universally true, because why would you do that if you could be wrong? You need to make sure you're right. And the church has always taught from the very beginning that it's never wrong. It's indefectible. It cannot teach the wrong thing. So for 2,000 years, we believed something to be true, and now we discover we were wrong. It's all false. You can't be believed, because if it's founded by God, it's true. So in the modern notion, we have this idea we can cherry pick what we believe and what we practice, and, maybe this can change. Truth can't change. Jesus came and said, this is what you need to know, and I'm giving it to you, and here's the Bible, and here's the Pope, and here's the apostles, and the revelation was complete. The church has taught that. So ignorance is the first thing that needs to be fought, but atheism, people not believing. And I think, as I alluded it to before, the idea that science disproves religion is a serious assault. Young people believe it, so we need to educate them otherwise. And then I think the other thing is that it's not cool to be Christian. And it's a pornographic culture. It's an overly sexualized culture that's coming for our kids. And sex is a very powerful impulse. So if the enemies, I'll call them the enemies of Christianity, have used sex and the sexual revolution as a wedge issue. If the church is wrong about sex, then you can disbelieve everything. And even if the church is right about everything else, but it's wrong about sex, well, you can just do whatever you want. So these are big temptations because, practically speaking, our morality has broken down. I don't think Catholic parents actually expect their children to be chaste. They don't expect them to wait till marriage to engage in sexual activity. I think that modesty has been lost. And so these are serious assaults. I know a lot of people come from other countries to Calgary hoping, for safety and prosperity and expecting also to be able to practice the Catholic faith. And they're not necessarily equipped to deal with the social pressures and how intense they are. And I think that social media magnifies those pressures.
What makes a trustee successful, and how would you measure your own success in this role?
I think what makes a trustee successful is the ability to talk to a wide range of people. That includes people with whom they disagree, or people who are even against them. Talk to different stakeholders and build positive relationships of respect. And being able to keep that dialogue going and know everything, to be cooperative with people. Trustees are leaders, but we need to build relationships. So ultimately, I think that is what makes a trustee successful. That includes talking to community, parents, but community leaders, but also people in government, all different sorts of parties. So I think building relationships is ultimately what will make a trustee effective. as successful in their role. Was there a second part of that question?
How you plan to achieve, and how would you measure your own success in this role?
Well, if I'm fortunate enough to become a trustee, I think I would hinge my measurement of success is up to God. I just do my best. So making a full effort, and in that way, modeling my sincerity, and I would hope to accomplish a few of my key goals in order to make a transformation, because I really think we need a transformation in the school system. We need a revival of the faith. And so if I was able to accomplish my key priorities, and to encourage people to adopt them as their key priorities, the members of the board, then I would see that as a success. But being able to effectively witness to Christ, even in the absence of being able to accomplish policy goals per se, that's always a victory, and that's what I would hope to be able to do.
Should you be the successful candidate, what are the goals for the upcoming term? What will be your goals for the upcoming term, and how would you plan to achieve them?
Well, the number one goal for me is to hire dedicated teachers of religion. So we already know, it's an admitted thing, that 60% or more of teachers, I heard that. That's why I said 60%. I heard that from someone in the organization, from internal data, don't attend Mass regularly. So if you don't attend Mass regularly and you think that's okay, you're not really a practicing Catholic. So, and I know also, I've got feedback from other sources that the ambiance is not always Catholic. So principals disagreeing with priests about ethical matters. So we've got a problem. How can we pass on a faith to children if the staff don't have the faith? So the first thing to do is to hire faithful Catholics who are knowledgeable and on fire, and they're going to teach the Catholic faith. That's all they're going to do. Grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, starting in grade 1. Because we need to get the kids before they're in grade 7. Once puberty hits, we already know that social data suggests grade 7s and 8s are saying, yeah, I'm an atheist. We don't want them saying that before they even really understand the terms. So we got to get to them early, and we got to have faithful Catholics teaching the faith. We can't have people who don't take the sacraments teaching the sacraments. It doesn't make sense. I hate music, but I'm teaching music. It doesn't make sense. Religion's much more important than that. So hiring dedicated teachers of religion, number one. Number two, and related to it, is we need to develop model units of study. One way we can do that, because you included that answer, part of your question, is one we can do it is work with the universities. Let's develop some model units of study that embed Catholic literature, Catholic history, Catholic architecture, everything Catholic, as much as possible in those units. Give them to teachers. Say, these are approved. Use them. So that's a number two. And it would also be educating the staff, who are all baptized, all the teachers are baptized, more about the Catholic tradition. And I think the more people know about the truth of the Catholic faith, the more opportunity they have to come back to Christ. And that would be the third thing, is we have professional faith days. These need to be more pointed. We need to give teachers the latest evidence about intelligent design. It's not, oh, the world appeared in 1 minute and it appeared 4,000 years ago. That may be true, but that's not what intelligent design says. It's a very scientific theory. We need people to know about fine-tuning. We need people to know the arguments against the atheistic arguments. Because I know an atheist who is hired in our system, and he needs to hear these arguments, and we need to build on those. The case for God, the case for Christ, the case for the church. So we need to evangelize our staff, bring them back. Those are my top priorities.
That concludes our questions. Do you have any closing comments you'd like to make?
Well, I'd like to encourage people to go listen to my rather long, but it was about 60 minutes, but still it was heartfelt. There were some good elements of my previous video that we made for the by-election that was held in January. Since it didn't come up in the questions, there's two candidates in the wards in which I'm running. So you want to look at the difference between the candidates. And one of the key differences is that I don't believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion as a policy. I think that that's not Catholic. Christ said, come and invite all peoples and baptize all peoples in the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit. But he said, my prayer for you is that we be one, as I and the Father are one. So we don't need diversity. We need unity of faith. We need unity of faith. Diversity of cultures is a beautiful thing. Diversity of peoples, of imaginations, of abilities. St. Paul talks about that. But we need unity. Equality is just simply not Christian. Jesus is more holy than me. Mary is more holy than me. St. Paul is more holy than me. If I get into the lowest rung of heaven, there is a hierarchy in heaven, and there's a hierarchy in hell, and there's a hierarchy on earth. Hopefully, we don't get what we deserve, but we can earn more than we might otherwise. So equality is not a good idea. It's not Christian. To those that have more will be given, and to those who don't, it will be taken away. Jesus said it. There's no equality on earth or in the afterlife. So it's silly to suggest that. Inclusion is what hell is about. Everybody is welcome in hell, no conditions. But in heaven, you actually have to have followed Christ's commandments and had faith in him. So I think many people, though, will say, well, Dan's a judgmental guy and he wants to reject. He doesn't want to welcome everyone. And I think there's a confusion. And I understand it. And I can see how people could say, well, if there's a conflict between love and judgment, I'm going to choose love. And who wouldn't? Love's beautiful and judgment's harsh. But the real issue is there is no conflict between real love and truth. There's no split between that. And the Jesus, I think Thomas Aquinas said very clearly, the greatest kindness is when you see someone in error, an error that might cause their eternal damnation, and you don't lead them, you have to lead that person to truth, even though it might be painful. And then when we consider Christ, he was willing to speak uncomfortable truths which got him crucified, rather than be polite and go along with the conforming to the politeness of the day. We can't prioritize politeness more than truth. We have to be bold about being Christian. And this is where it's not judgmental to tell people the truth. It's not judgmental to say, hey, there's a Christian vision of life, and that is life at its fullest. And if you think that your vision is better, okay, but we're going to continue to believe in our vision and invite and encourage you, sometimes warn you that way is going to cause pain and suffering. The wages of sin are death, we're told in Scripture. So we don't want death for anyone. Letting people go to their death, that's not loving. So I'd like people to see that truth is really important, and we need to be bold about these things. Let's just see if I wrote something else down. And that involves, respecting parental rights as well. Like parents, when they send their kids to school, should know that they're safe and that there's the books are appropriate and so on. I notice that I'm running out of time. So please visit my website, danpenna.ca. Thank you for listening to me. God bless you all.
Thank you for coming in today, Dan.